Yeah, the biggest thing is the reason why there's going to be players that get certain like the reason why Hunter Dickinson is getting all of the deals that he is getting, and the reason why he has such a brand and such a like this big Dickinson energy thing is a thing, is because he was an All-American last season and came back to school. Right. Like you could sit here and say, I have all these branding opportunities. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm so good at this. Well, unless you have like 4 million followers on TikTok, right? You're not, you have to be a superstar to be able to get these NIL deals. That's the way that it's going to work. You got to keep the main thing. And I think people forget about that a little bit. All right.
Either that or be really, really good looking. It's got to be one of the two.
Yes.
Either do that or be really, really good looking.
Yes, that's true. That's true. All right. So I mentioned Hunter Dickinson. Let's talk a little bit about Michigan because they had a great week. For you, Fanta. They did. They blew out Purdue. It changed what they were in all of the metrics. It took them from being a team that had an okay resume without a great win to being a team that has a good resume with a great win. Now, does that mean they're in the NCAA tournament, Fanta? It doesn't sound like you're sold yet.
First of all, I love post Super Bowl Sunday Fanta because he just tells it like it is.
Well, they didn't
spare nothing.
They had a great win, but they lost at home to Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State's good. It happens.
You got to sustain it.
It was 40. The game was
I don't care.
48 hours after a just great win. Right.
Yeah, but they're not in the tournament today. They're not in the tournament today, and they're going to.
That's what I was asking you.
They're going to Iowa. They're going to Iowa, and they're going to Wisconsin this week. You got to win one of those games. You got to win one of those games. You go 0-2. I'm sorry. Like that's then 3 straight losses in the Big Ten. On After Dark on Thursday, we did the show, and I said that this is the type of window here. Show me. Show us. Show us. I guess I'm being negative this morning. I don't know why, because I'm not normal. I just don't understand. To me, you come off that type of a win. Ohio State is good, but they're not Purdue, Illinois, or even Wisconsin when Johnny Davis is really rolling. Like we've seen that Wisconsin get unveiled from time to time.
See, I would push back on that a little bit. I think that Ohio State is in that same conversation, like at the very least, Wisconsin, right? Because they have a stud like Wisconsin does in EJ Liddell. And then they have a bunch of guys that kind of give you a supporting cast that you don't know if you can necessarily fully trust at this point.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's supporting cast is average at best.
So
I'm not high on Ohio State either.
I don't think Ohio State's any good.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
Like, I think they're good enough to win a tournament game. Maybe they get the right draw. But beyond Liddell, what do they have?
Malachi Brown, who hasn't really figured it out consistently yet. So there's a point to be made there. I'm not big on Ohio State either. I like it. Like, what are they? Like, they're EJ Liddell and a bunch of other guys. And then a freshman that just doesn't know any better, who's kind of figuring it out. But here's the thing with Michigan. You look at them, they do have to sustain it. Here's the difference between them and Purdue. Like, even though Purdue plays absolutely terrible, they still find a way.
Bingo.
Might have gotten some home court stuff, but they find ways to win. Guys, I've mentioned it before several times, winning ugly. This is that time of the year. You got to win ugly because you're going to get these games where you lose to Michigan. It'll be a little disappointing. Well, you better rebound quick, especially this season too, because like I was looking at Duke's schedule. They played 4 games in 7 days, and all 4 games were like towards the bottom of the ACC level teams. You still got to flip around and win them again and win them again and win them again, because if you lose them, you're going to struggle and it's going to look bad. But at the same time, like, sometimes you're just not going to win some of those games. Like,
especially this year when you have all the COVID reschedules coming up. Like I made this point about UConn the other day. They played Marquette on Tuesday, got a great win. They went to Xavier on Friday, had a tough loss in a game that they probably, I don't want to say they should have, but they probably could have won. And 36 hours after the loss to Xavier, they went into St. John's in a game that is a nightmare matchup for them in terms of the way those two teams played, and found a way to gut out a win. I don't care if Posh wasn't there. Like, those are the games you don't play well. You're on the road against a bad matchup, and you find a way to get it done. Though that game, if this was in December, UConn would have lost that game by 12, and they found a way to get it done. So that's a step in the right direction. That's what you need to do. Last point I want to make on Michigan before we move on. This is what their schedule is the rest of the season: at Iowa, at Wisconsin, Rutgers at home, Illinois at home, Michigan State at home, Iowa at home, at Iowa State. God bless you, Juwan Howard. Good luck. You got to go
Ohio State.
You got to go 4-3.
Yeah, right now in the Big Ten, Rutgers has a better shot to make it than Michigan.
Wow. Come on. Rutgers is like 80th in the net. If Rutgers makes it to the NCAA tournament, they'll be the lowest team in the history of the net to ever make the NCAA tournament.
Okay, so Rutgers has Illinois at home, at Purdue, at Michigan, Wisconsin at home, at Indiana, at Penn State at home.
Rutgers lost to Lafayette at home. Lafayette is 330th in the country. That is the Lafayette loss is the worst loss that any team anywhere near the bubble has to their name. So Rutgers has some phenomenal wins at home. That win at Wisconsin was huge, but they're to me, they're very, very much on the cut line because that Lafayette.
Oh, they're on the cut line. They're on the cut line. I just don't trust Michigan at all. They don't shoot the three well at all. They have no perimeter threat consistently. Like they hit between their top three players in the win over Purdue, they hit 9 threes, 3 threes between the three of them. They're just not a team that can affect the game from the perimeter the way that last year's Michigan team was able to do. And they haven't gotten anything close to what Mike Smith provided them last year from a backcourt perspective. So I went bold there. No question about it. Because I know that Rutgers doesn't get a lot of national love, but they had a great
9-5 in the Big Ten.
Rutgers had a great week.
They're 9-5.
Rutgers is the one who had a great week. They went to the Kohl Center and won.
Yeah,
I mean
nobody does that.
Yeah, and they beat Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
And they're 9-5 in a really good conference. They're a top 3 conference in the country. They're 9-5 in the top 3 conference.
Ohio State.
I'll tell you this, though, guys. I'll tell you this. You could sit here and you could rattle off what their record is in the Big Ten. I promise you that will never, ever get mentioned in the selection committee's room. Fair or not, no one is going to say one thing about what their record is in conference play, especially because they play in a league where it's not a double round robin. That 9-5 record will never, ever, ever be mentioned. The loss Lafayette will be, though.
Yeah, but if you get to 12 or 13 Big Ten wins, I have a very difficult time believing that you're going to be left out of the field. Yeah. I mean, you're getting 12. If you get a dozen wins over Big Ten opponents, Lafayette is Lafayette. It's a bad loss. The 12 Big Ten wins should trump it. The problem I have with Michigan is I don't trust them offensively, and I think that Rutgers is a team that with Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr. and a core of guys that they lost transfers, but guys that just expect to win. Tell you what, this is huge. This is the week. Let's revisit this next Monday, albeit briefly. Mm-hmm. Michigan's at Iowa and at Wisconsin, right? Rutgers is home Illinois at Purdue. Now, if Rutgers splits and Michigan doesn't get a win, then we're going to be talking differently. And by the way, I want to close with this. Ohio State is good enough to make the NCAA tournament, but they from a game-to-game perspective, I don't understand what they're getting from their supporting cast beyond EJ.
Don't try to walk back now. You said Ohio State was terrible. You said
I said they weren't any good.
This was a
no. I'm a huge Chris.
They are not good. Chris Holtman needs to get run.
Oh no.
Back to Butler.
No, frankly, Chris Holtman's getting as much as he could out of that club.
100%.
Yeah, I don't love. I mean, the fact they beat Duke, that's still one of the more impressive comeback wins of the season. So I'm an Ohio guy, but I can't trust the Buckeyes. I can't.